Hi everybody, welcome to the LV1 classic demonstration. This is for the students who have missed the workshop. This will give you a basic overview of everything we covered during the workshop and what we learned and all the features in the LV1 console and how to use them. So let us start off with the setup window. The setup window is the most important part of the LV1 system, because if your setup is not done properly, obviously you won't be able to run not a live show or a recording session. So the first thing over here is the system inventory page. So the system inventory is basically a list of all our devices that are connected to the LV1. The LV1 comes in with a built-in server, which is the classic DSP over here. It also comes with a built-in I/O, which is the classic I/O over here. And obviously we can add I/O to this. For example, we have the 𝗦𝗁𝗃𝗃 over here, which is kept to our side over there. And it is connected over Ethernet. So we have sync over Ethernet icon over here. And we also have the local media, which is the inbuilt recorder for the LV1 console. I also have my MacBook Pro connected over here. This is to run tracks for playback, for virtual sound check, etc. There's also the fader bank over here. The fader bank is these set of faders. We can obviously add more faders by using things like the MIDI Fit Plus, which is a Waves controller. There are multiple other options as well. To go into any sort of a I/O setting or DSP setting, you just need to click the setting icon. So if I click the setting icon for the I/O, we can see that it gives us all our options for turning on 48-volt phantom power, our mic and line switches. It also gives us the option for HMX, which is basically added harmonics to our preamp. We also have our output section over here, your clock, system info, and the about page. And then we also have our classic I/O. We can click over here and get the classic controls over here. As you can see, this also has your mic ins, mic line switch over here. You can also send for 48-volt phantom power. You have your HMS, and the same thing for the output, input, clock, system, and about. Similarly, the local media is for recording into an external hard drive. Waves recommends an SSD formatted in exFAT. That way you can interface between both Windows and MacBook systems. This is my MacBook, which I have connected. So if I go into network devices, my MacBook will show up. So my MacBook Pro is connected to the system via the inbuilt Ethernet switch, which is at the back I/O section. We currently have two things connected in the switch. First is the 𝗦𝗁𝗃𝗃, which is connected to an EtherCon input. And my MacBook is connected to also a network RJ45 in. And this connection is being done through a Cat6 cable. So we have our classic DSP over here. So the DSP is basically handling all the processing for every plugin, and it's basically a computer that is inbuilt within the console. We can have up to 4 DSPs and 4 backup DSPs. So that way, in case there is any sort of failure, your backup DSPs can take over. So this is overall the racks, servers, and control section. You can check the routing view over here to see everything that is connected. Currently, my laptop is not showing up in the routing section because I haven't patched it in. Once I patch it in, you will be able to see my laptop over here as well. Then we have our sample rate settings over here. We have our master slave options over here. We'll set it to master in this case. This is our network port, and you can see the link is up, speed 2 Gbps. If for some reason the link is down, then there is some issue that you need to get fixed. If you ever see any FW icon lighting up, that means there is a firmware issue, so you need to do a firmware update. This is basically to give us an overview of how everything is connected and how everything is working. Green means everything is ready to go. Blue also means that it will work fine. The M stands for the master device. Red on the other hand, means that this is not connected properly. It is not available. So either you're working offline or there's some sort of an issue. Maybe it's not connected correctly. So anytime you see red, that means the device is not available. So this is the overall system inventory overview. Let us go into our next option, which is the mixer settings option. So when we go into the mixer settings option, we can run 3 configurations for our mixer: the 16 input, the 32 input, and the 64 input. The 16 input is going to give us less buses compared to the 64 input. The 64 input will give us all the buses, all the matrices, auxes, etc. Mix engine performance, if you want better latency, keep it at latency optimized. For better plugin performance, keep it at DSP optimized. Output latency alignment, generally we run it at entire mixer aligned. That means that all the outputs will be aligned. While aligned by mix bus and delay group, that can be useful if you're doing a monitor mix where you're running different plugins, latency prone plugins for different monitors, and then you can like have them go separately into your IEMs or your wedges or whatever. So mixer startup, generally you can set it as an empty session startup, meaning that every time you power the mixer back on, it's gonna start with an empty session. You can also set it at previous session. That means whatever session you are working on, it will open up like that. History is basically where you do your autosaves. So I have my autosave every 3 minutes. I also have on scene update and show history warnings. So I have them on. It's just a good practice to have all of them on. Then we have locks over here. So lock, you can like lock your plugins, routing, surface, and password. This is if you have an intern or maybe a volunteer who does not know the ins and outs of the console. Maybe you can lock your plugins so that the volunteer cannot like change the parameters of the plugins, but can change the faders on the surface. Obviously, we have troubleshooting sections. The plugin section is basically you can scan for your plugins. The LV1 console ships with all plugins installed, all Waves plugins installed, which are over 100. But currently I'm using the licensed only ones. The console will ship with 16 licenses of Waves plugin, which includes the most of the plugins that you need, like your Waves Tune Real Time if you want to use auto tune, your F6, which is a great dynamic EQ, etc., etc. So you have a tempo setup over here. You can also tap using this button over here. So, and there is also a tap tempo BPM section over here as well. So all of these correspond to each other. You can tap to change the tempo. As you can see, the tempo is 191 now. If I tap slow, it is 97 now. So this is the tap tempo option. Then we have our recording session settings. So like I said, you can connect your SSD over here formatted to exFAT to directly record into the SSD without a laptop. And secondly, you can also connect a flash drive and just transfer show files, user presets, plugin presets, etc., etc. You can obviously open it by clicking the open button over here. Because nothing is connected, so it does not open anything. And if something is not opening, you can run a test to just see if the console supports your storage device. This will also show you our available space and time. So now let us go into our UI settings. So the UI settings is where we take care of a lot of things like the user assignable keys. So user assignable keys are basically custom keys. You can have it on the top layer over here. So generally this layer can be your channel selector layer or your user layer. If it's user layer, then you can add something like flip AB input channel as a option over here. So if I click it, it asks me if I want to flip AB inputs. I'm gonna say no because I don't need to do it right now. Similarly, you can add something else over here, maybe save session. So you can have a save session button over here. So basically your user assignable keys, all of them, you can assign them from this section. The input meter is basically, it's going to show you what type of trim levels you're going to see. Are you going to see the pre or the post? Then also the output meter gives you a pre-fader and post-fader option for channels, groups, auxes, masters. Delay units. So generally delay units are calculated in milliseconds. but in a lot of cases you might find it useful to turn it to feet, because if you're trying to time align speakers that are quite far away from each other, then you have your peak and clip settings. You can change it according to your preference. And then you have some mixer window options. All of these depend on your preference. You can like select, deselect them, how you want your mixer to function. So this is basically the UI settings section. You also have an admin kiosk over here. You can go into your admins and go into some deeper settings. And then we also have the shutdown button over here to shut down the whole console. So this is our setup. Most important being our system inventory. And we have the mixer settings and the UI settings as well. In the next video, we are going to go into the patch section and we are going to take a look at patching. This is very important if you want to connect things like your local host MacBook into your Waves LV1 and do a virtual sound check. The patching is extremely important. Okay, so to see you in the next video.